my Chiang Mai, I think it's Wednesday morning. Is it Wednesday? Holy mackerel, let's see. I don't know what day it is anymore. Yep, Wednesday. Happy hump day. I guess it's still Tuesday depending on what side of the world you're on. Hey there, hey Miss Claire, good to see you. So I guess it's Tuesday depending on where you are in the world. It's Wednesday morning for me here in Chiang Mai. Hey rich friend, in Chiang Mai, Thailand. So let me introduce myself really quickly and we'll jump right on in. So my name, Tuesday Night in Memphis, awesome, okay. My name is Kelly McRae, and last year in February I was diagnosed with lupus, and because of the unpredictable nature of the disease that I have, I was forced to walk away from a 17-year career in real estate where I was a six-figure income earner, an award winner for customer service as well as sales. So now I sit, thank you for sharing, on the opposite side of the world in search of wonderful health care and a good quality of life. So that is my story. So usually I get up in the mornings and I have a whole morning ritual of my affirmations and my prayers and all this other good stuff. And then I kind of get a lesson. And sometimes I, come up with a lesson to teach the day before. You'll watch the replay. Okay, Lane, sounds good. And then I'll share. But a lot of times, first thing in the morning, I'll get that divine intervention, if you will, of what you're supposed to talk about today. So this morning, my son called me, and he's still in Florida. My daughter's in Atlanta. And he called me this morning, and we were talking about the different viewpoints from around the world. So last week, I was in Malaysia. Malaysia is a Muslim country. As I sit here on my sofa today, I am in a Buddhist country. And of course, you guys that are in the States know what's happening in our country as far as politics and Muslims and all of this go. So my son, who has political aspirations, I don't know why, don't ask me, I don't know. But anyway, he and I were talking and he says, well, with the way that the climate is going, I almost feel forced that I'm going to have to get a passport and live someplace else. And I just don't want to do that. This is America and this is where I was born and blah, 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 right? So I said to him, I says, well, hon, it's not bad to get out. I says, if you leave the country and you live someplace else for a little while, it does not mean that you can't go back. It does not mean that so then he starts making excuses. And you guys, if you've spent any time with me, y'all know, number one, I don't do excuses. And number two, I am very straightforward. And I raised my kids. I told my kids as they grew up, if I say something to you and it bothers you, but it was really what I felt that needed to be said, how you receive it, that's your problem, okay? So I'm that way with my kids. I'm that way with my clients. I'm just that way. So he says, well, you got to go someplace else. And what if they don't speak the language? And then, what happens if you get out there and you run out of money and you're stuck homeless and hungry in a foreign country? And I was just like, wow, damn, you painting a bleak picture. And I told him, I says, well, first of all, he says, oh, and then you will have failed. And I says, well, I don't believe in failure. And he laughs. He goes, well, there is such a thing as failure. I was like, no, sir. I says, well, you know what? I says, there is such a thing as failure. You're right. I says, failure is in not trying. That's where you fail. I says, let me explain something to you as a world traveler mom that I am. I says, first of all, you're talking about you want to run for office. Where are you getting your worldviews from? You're getting your worldview secondhand. I can tell you that last week while in Malaysia, Muslim country, I was going through social media. Exactly. Failure is in not trying. So I was going through the social media stuff like we all do. And there were a few comments. I said I should have scrolled, but I made comments on them anyway. There was one gentleman that said, if you don't if you don't believe in our president, leave the country, snowflakes. And so all of these people were coming on, yeah. And then there were people that were like, we have rights here. We shouldn't have to leave the country because we don't disagree. So, of course, me being not in the country had to pop in there and add, hey, you don't know what you're talking about. When have you left the country to even talk about this? And I told the snowflakes, come join me. The weather, the water is fine. That the climate out here is not what they're making it to be in the news at the time. I'm writing you from Malaysia. I'm in a Muslim country where there's no gratuitous violence happening. There are Christians here, there are Buddhists here, there are Muslims here. They're all getting along great. There are women who are covered, and there are little girls out here with their butts hanging out right here in this Muslim country. So to hear all of this nonsense that we're hearing back in the States is just crap. So come on over and see for yourself, right? So as I'm telling my son this, I says, had I just been in the United States and was talking about booking a trip, Malaysia would not have been on that list. It wouldn't have been. As soon as I found out that that was a Muslim country sitting in America with all of the stuff that they're talking about, no way I would have come. So that would have been a failure, because failure is in not trying. Failure is in not putting yourself out there. Failure is in not taking a chance. Failure is in not seeing another person's perspective, just absolutely refusing to see their perspective. That's failure. But to come out here, yep, it's a Muslim country, but to come out here, not Thailand, Malaysia is a Muslim country. Yes, those who've never traveled don't know the world, and they're running around here and they're talking about what's happening in somebody else's house, and they ain't never left their own house. They've been sitting on their own front porch all their lives, but they want to talk about somebody else's front porch, and they've never been there. I can't tell people that your house is dirty if I ain't never been on the inside of it. You might have to clean this house. Now, it might look rickety on the outside, and that's what I made my assessment on, but you open the doors and y'all might be shocked. So failure is in not taking that chance, right? That's all they do is sitting on the porch, you're right, drinking that sweet tea and swatting flies. I like that. So I explained to him, I says, number one, he says, why? You go to these countries and I don't really know the languages and, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, dude, I just point blank told him, I says, dude, you're making so many excuses right now. I says, first of all, here's what most people do. He says, well, I've stepped to the challenges in my life. Yes, you did. And many people have stepped to the challenges in their lives and came out with flying colors. But the challenge showed up at their doorstep. They didn't go out to find that challenge. Most people are not going to go out and put themselves in an uncomfortable situation. And I told him, I says, that's not just in leaving the country. That's in starting a new business. That's in learning a new language. That's in, everyday stuff that, in our own country that we won't do because it's scary. Now, when lupus came to my door, okay, I didn't get a choice. I did not get a choice. I had no other alternative but to step to that challenge. Thank you. So it ain't like I went out looking for it. But when I left the country a few years ago and went to Chile and could not speak, I spoke, compared to the Spanish language, 3 words. When I left there, though, I spoke Spanish. Because I put myself in an uncomfortable position and I forced myself to do something. I didn't have to do that. I don't have to be here in Thailand, Sawadee Ka all over the place. I didn't have to do that. But I put myself in these situations and they're stressful, but they stretch you. They make you, these are opportunities for growth, to step out and do something, just one little thing that's scary. So a lot of my people that I talk to are interested in starting businesses, right? They have gone home. You have no choice but to grow. Especially, like here, and I told him, I says, when I went to Chile, I says, if you'd have gone to a Spanish-speaking country, I says, first of all, almost everywhere you go until you get out into these little bitty townships, everybody speaks English. First of all, well, not everybody. A lot of people speak English because in Chile, they didn't speak English. Not all of them, but I found the ones that did. Because here, let me give you something that is international. When you don't speak the other person's language and all you've got is your language, okay, this is international. Everybody recognizes it. As soon as they see that horrified face when you're talking, they know you don't speak their language. And then whoever speaks your language is like, dun, 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 the cape comes on, the tights come on, and they swoop in for the rescue. So you are not left dangling out there. All you got to do is just look scared as hell, like, oh, I don't know what you're saying right now. Oh God, somebody help me, and somebody will. So, so to sit back and talk about how you don't know the language, don't want to hear that nonsense. But like I told him, I says, if every day you went to a coffee shop, I says, because the thing about it is the stuff, when we step to our challenges, when we learn our lessons, by show of hands, by hearts, by thumbs over here, thumbs over there, show me who had a challenge that came up in their lives, and when the challenge came up, it handed them a manual on how to handle it. Anybody? I didn't think so. You just did what you had to do, doing it the best way you knew how to do, right? Crickets. Doing it the best way that you knew how to do it, and hoping that the outcome was going to be a positive outcome. But if it wasn't a positive outcome, it wasn't a failure. You learned, better not do that again, So then you found a different route. You took a detour. That's a lesson. That is not a failure, because you tried. You stepped out there. But when the challenges come to your life and you don't have a choice, that's you learning a lesson, so to speak, or but when you step out there and you put yourself in that position, that's true growth. Because you said from the onset, well, I don't really have to do this. I could stay right where I am. I'm completely comfortable here, and but I'm gonna put myself out here and take a chance. Now, let me tell you what happens, and I've got some business owners on my Periscope, I know for sure, and we all have discussed this. When you put yourself out there, your knees start knocking, you start feeling like you a fake, you start feeling like, why is anybody listening to me? I'm just little old me. You start wigging all the way out because you have totally stepped out of your comfort zone, okay? Yes, right? You fainting all over the place. You don't know what's what, right? So right now I have something called the Storm Shelter, and I'm sending out pitches to people to come in and teach within the Storm Shelter. And I'm sending this pitch out to people who are 6- and 7-figure income earners, and they're saying yes. And I'm like, oh my God, there's that international language. Oh, I don't know what to do. Oh, so I got a coach. So the point is that there are lessons in life, and then there are failures. Failure is wanting to do something and just not. What if I don't speak the language? What if I have to come back home because I ran out of money? I'm listening to my son this morning, and I was kind of blown away. And I told him, I said, you always been my kid that resisted change. My daughter's been to Europe. She started, she's got couple of online businesses right now. She's got a business right now that got the attention of Black Enterprise magazine over the holiday season. And she's doing well with her thing. She's rolling on down the road. My son is like, no, we're not doing that. No, and I don't know where that came from. Maybe from being in the house with me and his sister where we girl, let's do that thing. I don't know. But the fact of the matter is that you have to make a decision. If you want true changes in your life, you got to learn some lessons. You've got to learn some lessons. If you just want to sit complacent where you've been and have what you've always had, stay where you are. And that's a failure in my book. That's a failure. When you're not putting yourself out there and you're not taking chances and you're not moving towards the life that you really imagine for yourself, that is a failure. Because as I said to my son this morning, I says, you coming up with all these what ifs that are negative. What if, and put a positive on that. I says, right now I'm sitting in a foreign country. I says, I will not, when my money gets down to where all I got is plane fare back to America, guess where I'm going? I'm going home. And I won't count that as a failure, because when I go home and people say, oh, she failed, I'm going to be like, do you know what Sawadee Ka is? Do you know what Kapkun Ka is? Do you know what Baitiao is? No, you don't, because you ain't never took your ass to Thailand. But I did, so I know what those are because I was on the ground. Do you know what it's like to live in or be in a Muslim country? No, you don't, because I've been on the ground. Do you know what it's like to be in a place that all they speak basically is Spanish, and you don't, and you finally leave the country and you know how to speak Spanish? No, you don't, because I was on the ground. It's not a failure. And don't let anybody let you feel like trying and it not working the way you thought or they thought it was going to work is a failure, because as long as you put yourself out there, you have succeeded. Period. Point blank. End of discussion. And on that note, I'm going to talk a little bit about the storm shelters, and I'm going to get my butt out of here. So for those of you that are interested in starting a business, but you don't know how to translate what you do into an online business, the storm shelter basically are a group of people who will come in that know what they're talking about, that are experts in their areas. I'm so glad I did. I'm glad I helped you. But they are people who are coming in, they're experts in their areas, and they're going to take you from the basics, if you will, and give you an overview of what it is that they do to help you figure out what you want to do. Okay, and so it's in its early stages. I'm still working out a few glitches, but it's bit.ly/the storm shelter. There's two options. You can buy a one-time ticket for the lecture, or you can sign up and get into where I've got the archives and I've got resources. There's a Facebook group, and there's a monthly live Q&A and a lot of benefits of that. So the reason that we're at starter prices, so to speak, is because part of the membership is archives, and we're new, so we don't have archives yet. So as soon as we have 3 lectures in the archives, then the prices will increase. So hop on over there, become a part of that now. If you need some more information, feel free to inbox me on Facebook through the Facebook page, which is listed on the Periscope here. For those of you that are on YouTube, I'll put that in the link after I'm done. Facebook, you already on Facebook page, so you know where to find it. But PM me if you want more information, if you want to know something about some of the guests that I already have lined up. I'm happy to share their bios with you because they are amazing. So that is, thank you so much for posting that. I appreciate that. Who is that? Is that Claire? I can't see. But thank you for posting that up there. But anyway, guys, I'm going to get out of your face, but I just wanted to drop a little knowledge this morning. I appreciate the hearts. I appreciate the shares. And for those of you watching on the replay, please know that you can still share this out with your friends and followers and family as well if you think that they're going to get any benefit from this. I'm going to send this to my son. Excuse me. I think that he could benefit from this. We had a good discussion this morning, but I says, boy, like when we moved to Tampa, we moved from a little town called Lakeland. Lakeland is 40 minutes from Tampa, and he was a little boy then. He cried all the way. He cried all the way. I says, you cried all the way from Lakeland to Tampa. He said, but I can speak English. I says, but you still cried. He's the one, he's like, I just want things to stay the same. You know those cities? Yeah, he's like, I just want things to stay the same. But life doesn't do that for you. So sorry about your luck. Step out there, step to a challenge, make that thing happen. And challenges are going to come whether you go to them or whether they got to come to you. So go out there and make your dreams come true and step to those challenges. All right, guys, so I am out of here. I will talk to you all later. And since I talked about being on the ground over here, I'm going to say my goodbye this way. Sawadee Ka. Ciao.